everyone. Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive concept from Lesson 4, the empathy map. We aren't just looking at how things are built, right? We're looking at how they're made to actually matter for the people using them. If you've ever wondered how top-tier designers create products, services, or solutions that literally feel like they're reading your mind, well, this is exactly where that magic starts.
So here's a really fascinating question for you. How do you design for a need you can't see? As problem solvers, we are faced with this huge challenge all the time. It is so incredibly easy to just slap a solution onto a surface-level problem. If someone's standing in the pouring rain getting soaked, the obvious visible need is an umbrella. Boom, solved. But what about the invisible needs? What if the real issue isn't just the rain, but the fact that their hands are completely full of groceries, or they're absolutely panicking about their presentation getting ruined? When we only design for what's right there on the surface, we completely miss our users' deeper, underlying requirements. And in this explainer, we're going to show you exactly how to bypass that surface level and really dig into the invisible.
To tackle that challenge, we need to talk about our foundational theme, which is empathy and design thinking. Now, I know empathy gets thrown around a lot like a corporate buzzword, but here, it's a rigid, powerful, highly structural tool. It is literally the engine of the entire design thinking process. It's not just, feeling bad for someone. It is the active, super intentional practice of completely immersing yourself in another person's reality. Before we even think about brainstorming features or building prototypes, we absolutely have to profoundly understand the user. We've got to walk in their shoes. Because if our empathy is flawed right at the start, the design will inevitably fail, no matter how gorgeous or technologically advanced it might be.
All right, so how do we actually operationalize that kind of empathy? Well, it starts right here. We have to step into a specific scenario to map out the user's complete experience. We can't just think about our users in these vague, broad terms. We can't just say, oh, it's a person shopping. No, we have to anchor our focus to a specific person in a highly specific situation. Let's actually imagine one together right now. Picture a completely stressed out parent rushing through a packed grocery store, and it's exactly 5 minutes before closing time. By locking onto that concrete scenario, we can start to map out the reality of their experience in high definition. It completely takes the guesswork out of the equation and forces us to look at exactly what that user is going through in that exact moment in time. We're going to keep following this stressed parent, actually, to see how this works in practice. Now, what's really interesting here is the anatomy of the tool we use to pull this off, the 5-section empathy map. We take the user's experience and slice it into these 5 equal, intersecting pieces. Let's apply this to our stressed parent at the grocery store. First up, what do they feel? Probably totally overwhelmed. What do they say? Maybe something like, hurry up, guys, we gotta go. What do they think? Oh man, I'm gonna miss dinner and completely ruin the evening. What do they do? Well, they're frantically checking their watch and sprinting down the aisles. And look, what are they looking at? Long checkout lines and those bright, overwhelming fluorescent lights. By mapping out these 5 slices, we build this comprehensive 360-degree profile of the user's exact experience. And this brilliantly illustrates the real magic of the empathy map. We take those 5 sections and group them into 2 very distinct columns. Over on the left, we have the internal mindset. That's what the user is feeling and thinking. These are the things you absolutely cannot observe just by walking past them in the store. Then on the right side, we have the external world, what the user is saying, doing, and looking at. These are the observable, tangible actions. And here is where the true power of design thinking kicks in. It happens when we actually compare these 2 columns. Internally, our parent is completely panicking. But externally, in the observable world, they might just be quietly tapping their foot and telling their kid everything is totally fine. That friction, that massive gap between the internal mindset and the external world, that is exactly where our absolute best design opportunities live. To make this whole process even more engaging, the lesson introduces this absolutely fantastic gamified element called the Insight Quest. I love this part. This isn't just some quiet, boring desk exercise. It's a competitive team challenge. Just imagine bringing this into a classroom or boardroom. Teams are actually pitted against each other. They aren't just casually filling in boxes on a chart. They're in an active, high-stakes mission. Gamifying the empathy map like this forces everyone to look closer, to dig much deeper, and to really challenge their own assumptions. It brings this incredible electric energy to the research phase, turning what can sometimes be a tedious task of user analysis into a thrilling hunt for clues. But what exactly are they hunting for? So the crucial point is the ultimate prize in this quest, the hidden need. A hidden need is a requirement that just isn't immediately obvious by merely watching a person's actions. Think about it. If you only observe the external world, the say, the do, and the look, you're only ever going to see the super obvious needs. But a truly groundbreaking design, that solves for the hidden need. It's the unspoken requirement. It's that nagging pain point the user doesn't even know how to articulate yet. Pinpointing this invisible gap is literally what separates decent design from world-changing design. Which brings us to the million-dollar question, right? But how do we actually find a need that isn't obvious? I mean, if it's hidden, if the user isn't talking about it, and if they aren't physically showing it, how on earth do we uncover it during the insight quest? We know what the map is, and we know what the goal is, but we need a solid, reliable bridge between the two. We can't just sit around waiting for a sudden burst of genius or rely on lucky guesses. We need a systematic approach, something that guarantees we can sift through all this messy data of human experience and extract that invisible nugget of truth every single time. Let's move forward and see how this builds a repeatable system for discovery. Here is the exact step-by-step procedure to win the insight quest. Step 1, map the sections. You document absolutely everything our stressed parent feels, says, thinks, does, and looks at. Don't skip a single thing. Step 2, and this is where the heavy lifting happens, contrast internal versus external. We are actively looking for the tension. For example, they're verbally telling their kids they're fine, but their internal thoughts are in full panic mode. Finally, step 3, uncover the hidden need. Analyzing that exact contradiction reveals that they don't just need a faster checkout lane, they need a way to feel in control of their time and to reduce their mental load. The map acts like a magnifying glass, bringing that invisible need right into sharp focus. So, we've explored the map, we've broken down the internal and external worlds, and we've completely decoded the insight quest. You now have the actual blueprint to see what everyone else misses. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. How will you uncover the hidden needs in your next design scenario? Next time you're trying to solve a problem for someone, are you just going to look at their actions, or will you map their reality to discover what's truly driving them underneath it all? The tools are right there in your hands. Happy mapping.